And we are live. Hello, one and all, and welcome to my review for tonight's edition of SmackDown Live. We're going to take a look at everything that took place on the November 1st, 2016 edition of SmackDown, the first edition for the new month. And overall, I had to say that, like I usually do for SmackDown Live, I enjoyed this show a ton. From start to finish, this show kept me thoroughly entertained. It did a good job of building up the, storyline advancements heading into Survivor Series in less than 3 weeks. So that'll be here before you know it. So, guys, like I said, once again, SmackDown Live continues to show why having a shorter run time is just the better way to go. The 2 hours, I cannot say this enough, is just, I'm not exhausted. I'm not tired by the end of this show. I want to see more from SmackDown Live. Now, was everything perfect? Of course not. And there were some things that I didn't like on the show, but for the most part, what I saw on the show was good. And if I had to compare it to Raw last night, while I also did enjoy Raw, I'd say SmackDown was the better show overall. So with that stuff out of the way, guys, let's get into a bit-by-bit review of everything that took place tonight on SmackDown Live. So we kicked things off with, of course, Dean Ambrose and James Ellsworth coming down to the ring. They would talk about what happened last week with Ellsworth interfering and, costing Dean Ambrose his opportunity of becoming the number one contender for the WWE Championship. And then AJ Styles would come down to the ring, pretty much rip apart Ambrose and Ambrose and Ellsworth. And he said, pretty much that Ellsworth, all he can do is pretty much apologize. And he said, Styles said I was going to take it easy on you, Ellsworth. But Ambrose pretty much, had to force the hand of AJ, just laying it in hard on Ellsworth. And that led to, of course, the disqualification in that match 2 weeks ago. So Styles pretty much, the segment ended with Styles shoving Ellsworth into Ambrose. That led to Styles hitting an enziguri to Dean Ambrose. And Styles threw Ellsworth out of the ring and hit the phenomenal forearm onto Dean Ambrose to end the segment. So not a bad segment. It did set up what we would see later on in the evening between Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. Daniel Bryan would make the announcement that Dean Ambrose would get one final opportunity. This would be his last chance at facing AJ Styles. And if he would lose, that's it. You're done. You do not get any more opportunities at the World Championship to become the number one contender. So I like them playing that aspect up. And then I also like the fact of Ellsworth insisting. He insisted throughout the entire night. Ambrose was like, I do not want you at ringside. Seeing as what happened last week, no, I don't even want to entertain the idea. So Ambrose later on smartly threw Ellsworth out through an exit door. But as we saw in the main event, that, of course, did not dissuade Ellsworth from rearing his ugly head. So it certainly made for an interesting dynamic. And, of course, the main event for tonight's show was Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles. Really, really good match. We'll get into that later on in this review. So next up on SmackDown Live, we had Randy Orton versus Kane. And, the match was going. It was a no DQ match, but honestly, seriously, that's the other thing. What's up with all the no DQ matches lately on SmackDown? I have to say, it just seems like every single week, we have no DQ match after no DQ match. So don't know what that's all about. But the match between him and Orton, it was Kane and Orton. It was going. It was what it was. But the interesting thing that I got out of this was the Wyatt family, Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt, would interfere in this match. They would cost Kane the match. Eventually, Kane hit an uppercut, and he attempted to go for the choke slam. And Kane hit a big boot on Luke Harper, and he tried to chokeslam Wyatt, but Orton would lay out Kane with an RKO. Eventually, Harper would hit the running clothesline on Kane. Bray Wyatt would hit Sister Abigail on Kane, and then, Orton and Wyatt would do a pose down together. And then later on in the show, we got a backstage, segment of Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Wyatt said, there are some of us here that had doubts about you, but the fact that you're a snake and a viper, really makes you a perfect ideal fit for the Wyatts. And Orton said, for years, he's been hearing the devil inside of his head, and, he's just giving into the voices and it looks like, I still think it's Orton just playing mind games with Bray Wyatt, but I'm really intrigued to see how far they go with Randy Orton joining. Use that loosely. We'll see if he actually does join the Wyatt family. I still think it's a storyline similar to a la Daniel Bryan when he joined the Wyatts. So we'll have to see where they go, but I'm definitely intrigued to see where the next chapter in this feud between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt goes. So I'm intrigued, and like I said, there will at least be good writing behind it with Ryan Ward, who's in charge of SmackDown. So let's see where they go with this. After this, we went to our second match of the evening. It was Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella versus Alexa Bliss and Carmella. Solid, decent little tag team match here. The nice thing I liked about this was Alexa Bliss pinned the champion, Becky Lynch, in this match. So she picks up huge momentum ahead of her title opportunity next week against Becky Lynch in Glasgow, Scotland. It's going to be a great opportunity for both women. I have to say, I hope that both Becky and Alexa Bliss main event. I'd love to see, similar to how Sasha and Charlotte main evented Raw several weeks ago, 3 weeks ago to be exact. I'd love to see Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss get that opportunity. I feel it's the right time, right place, and why not, And I know they go out there and they have a pretty damn good match. So we'll have to see what happens there, guys. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that title match tomorrow night or next week on SmackDown. And then we had I thought there was a nice little promo segment after the match. It was Carmella and Alexa Bliss. Alexa talked some trash on, her title match against Becky Lynch, and then Carmella laid into the Raw women's roster, called out Charlotte, Nia Jax, and Bayley. So I like the fact that they're taking shots, and it was confirmed on this show. Daniel Bryan confirmed that it's going to be Naomi, Carmella, Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella to be on Team SmackDown Live, and Alexa Bliss. So I love the fact that Team SmackDown Live has, they have all their members chosen for their women's team. And we, later on in the show, found out that the Usos would advance to become a member of Team SmackDown Live by beating the Headbangers, so no real surprise there. And we, of course, had the American Alpha defeating the Spirit Squad like they should be, and they're also going to be a member on the Team SmackDown Live tag team. A lot of team thrown in there, but hey, I really like the fact that SmackDown is focused on filling out its roster for the upcoming Survivor Series show, whereas it seems like Raw, we got some announcements made. Mick Foley last night, announced for the male competitors, and there were some female announcements, but for the female team on Raw. But it's like we only know that the New Day are the only team competing for Team Raw in the tag team scene. I really hope Raw gets its act together next week. We're only 2 weeks away from Survivor Series. These team brackets need to be filled out. So that's one thing I have to say. It just shows the level of preparedness from one show to the other is heir apparent. So, yeah, guys, let's talk about what I thought was a really good segment. I love seeing The Miz TV. He had special guest Daniel Bryan, and I just love the dynamic between The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Miz just was really great at getting some legitimate heat. He's just great at playing that arrogant, cocky prick, and just the way that you could tell he was getting frustrated by Daniel Bryan. Bryan came down and he said, well, we have our team chosen for Team SmackDown Live. It's going to be Dean Ambrose, Baron Corbin, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and then he's like, and finally, and The Miz was thinking, oh, he's going to say my name. And Bryan swerved him. He said, no, it's going to be world champion AJ Styles. And this just set The Miz off. Miz was furious. He said the only chance, that SmackDown Live had to win. He said there's nothing change around here. It's the same. It's the status quo. I'm sick and tired of it. He insults Bryan. He said, I'm not afraid to fight, and whatnot. And Bryan said, the reason that we turned down having you on Team SmackDown Live, Miz, was the fact that they needed somebody who would step into the ring and fight. Bryan said, Miz, you're good at doing your little talk show and your color commentary, but, when it comes down to stepping in and fighting in the ring, you'll just back away like a coward. And, Bryan got pissed when Miz said he told Bryan to go back mopping in John Cena's house on Total Bellas. So that really sent Bryan off. And I really wish we could get one more match out of Daniel Bryan. Just seeing the guy, just seeing the reaction that he got on this show just makes me miss him wrestling in the ring that much more. It's just a shame. It just goes to show you never know in life what's going to truly happen. But I really love the intensity being played up here between him and Miz. Even if I really would like to see it lead to just, if there was somehow, some way, another match for Bryan to do. I don't know what you guys think, but I'd love to see Bryan take on the Miz for, at WrestleMania. I mean, if they can make it happen, but with the concussion stuff, it won't happen. But hey, I just makes me wonder. So eventually Dolph Ziggler would come down to the ring. He says, I'm going to be a fighting champion, and I issue an open challenge to anyone in the back. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it'll be Kalisto. Maybe it'll be Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews. It was Kurt Hawkins. He finally made his long overdue debut on SmackDown Live. And what happens? Bell rings, gets his head fucking kicked off by Dolph Ziggler, and that's the end of that match. So I still think, well, the interesting thing was, before I jumped the gun here, the fact that Ziggler mentioned that, Miz, you had your time to want a rematch with me, but now we're on the champ's time. And Ziggler brought up the fact that I'm issuing a challenge to anyone on SmackDown Live and the Raw roster. And that was really interesting, seeing as how, both brands are going to be partaking at Survivor Series. And I was looking around on Twitter, and I was seeing some posts, and it got me thinking. Sami Zayn, not really doing too much on Raw. Wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity? Have him face Ziggler for the IC title. And what if Sami Zayn would win the IC title and get him off the dreaded Red brand, where they have done absolutely shit with him? A little rant here, since Battleground. He won at Battleground, and what have they done with Sami Zayn? Briefly feuded with Chris Jericho, and it's just been like nothing since. I don't get it. Can we get Sami Zayn off that show? I feel like, well, first of all, he needs to be on Survivor Series. It's going to be in his home country of Canada. There's no excuse for him not to be on the main card. It's 4 hours long. He could be on the main freaking card. So I'd love to see him and Ziggler go at it, and what if he wins? What if that would be the opportunity to bring Sami Zayn on the brand that he should have been drafted to, SmackDown Live, for the IC title? Will it happen? I don't know, but I really just found it interesting, and that was the first person I thought of when Ziggler mentioned the fact that he challenges anyone on the Raw brand. So we'll have to see where they go with that heading forward. But let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think of a potential Sami Zayn Dolph Ziggler match taking place at Survivor Series? Love to see it happen. Speaking of love to see it happen, I love every time we see Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles go in there and tear shit up in that ring. These guys are awesome. They have tremendous chemistry. Haven't seen them have a bad match against one another. So kudos to them for putting on another good match like they did last week. And I love the fact that, you knew somehow, some way James Ellsworth was going to get involved in this. And the way that they did it, I thought it was kind of smart and funny at the same time. So, Styles and Ambrose, they're going at it in the ring, doing some nice sequences back and forth. And eventually Ellsworth would run down to the ring, and then you see security begin to chase after him. And he goes to the back, and I'm like, whoa, man, okay, they're going to chase him out of the building, or are we going to see him, come back? And eventually Ellsworth would make his way back into the ring. That would lead to Styles would eventually throw him over the announcer's table. And, as he was getting back in the ring, that would allow for Dean Ambrose to capitalize and hit the dirty deeds on AJ Styles. And thanks to James Ellsworth interference, this time it played a role in helping to Dean Ambrose to capitalize and to officially reestablish himself as the number one contender. And the show goes off the air with Ambrose and Ellsworth embracing. So, yeah, solid main event match. I liked, it was funny seeing Ellsworth run around the arena and, see how his involvement would take place, because you knew somehow he was going to get involved. So I really had no problem with it. It was a good match, good way to close out a solid edition of SmackDown. And, these shows are just enjoyable. I don't have to come up here and really rant and rip them apart like I usually have to do for Raw. So that's always nice, guys. But, yeah, enjoyed SmackDown tonight. What more can you say? Like I usually do. I usually enjoy the 2-hour edition of SmackDown compared to the 3-hour flagship of Raw. It's just 2 hours is always the way to go. And good writing goes a long way too. And focusing on wrestling matches. And thank you, Ultra. He's just letting me know this. It was announced on Talking Smack that we are going to get Ambrose versus Styles facing each other at TLC in a TLC match. Hell to the yeah. Oh, hell yeah. A little Stone Cold impersonation for you guys, but I can't wait for that. That is going to be a really, 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 really good match. Already excited for TLC, so kudos to WWE on announcing that. I'll have to check Talking Smack out after this review, but yeah, good episode of SmackDown tonight, guys. If I had to give it a grade tonight, I would give tonight's edition a B+. Looking forward to the Survivor Series. Hopefully it delivers. So, guys, that is it tonight for my SmackDown Live review. Let me know in the comments section below what you all thought of SmackDown. What did you like? What didn't you like? And remember to, please click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to this channel. And be on the lookout for me in my next video, whenever that may be. So that is it, guys, for tonight's SmackDown Live review. Till then, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.